I'm Aryeh Schwartz, along with my co-host, Gabe Ibrahim, and welcome to the Winsidr show, where it's all about the W. Today, we're talking WNBA overseas. If you like our show, please consider joining our Patreon community. For less than a cup of coffee a month, you can directly show support for the hard work we do covering the W. We're talking WNBA overseas. I'm Aryeh Schwartz. You can check out my new Twitter handle, W-insidr, Aryeh on Twitter. And Gabe, back from his little vacation following the celebration of the Washington Mystics championship. Gabe, how's it going? What are your thoughts? What are you feeling? Have you gotten over the championship?
No, I have not gone over the championship. It was amazing. It was amazing to be there. I haven't been on the podcast since the championship because of my slight vacation. It was an amazing championship run. So glad that I got to be there to watch this team win. I thought they were the best team all year. Shouts to the Sun for making an amazing series happen. And, shouts to Tolliver, EDD, Cloud, Emma, the whole squad for making that run happen. It was amazing. I mean, we've had all our thoughts on the finals, but just the experience of it has kind of sunk in now, and it's still great. I have my little bag of confetti here from the court after they won.
Don't ever lose that. Might be worth money. Actually, funny, speaking of selling W merchandise or things for money, we recently found out that somebody has been counterfeiting our graphics and selling them at a local store in DC for $5 a pop for framed. I don't know if to be insulted, complimented, or just laugh about it.
I mean, it's a compliment, but also, I mean, do we now get free stuff from the store? Because they had a lot of stuff at that store. They would fix your shoes, I think. It was also a dry cleaner. They seem to have random food things in the background. So now can we take, we have to profit, right? This is some of our work.
Yeah, no, I mean, we better be getting some snacks for free. Some free tailoring from free laundry.
That's what I'm saying. Okay, we're going to push for that.
Yeah, guys, let anybody know we are sellouts. We will gladly take random sponsorship in the most unique ways. I will put a temporary tattoo on my forehead every episode and do a live stream if that's what they want. But Gabe, let's talk about the main topic of this episode. WNBA overseas. Euroleague is in full swing. We're how many games in? 16 or something? No. We're 16 total games. We're 4. Oh yeah, sorry, 60 and 56 total games per grouping. That was the number that was in my head. We're talking about 8 games per team. Obviously, UMMC is top notch. Some familiar faces on that team. Obviously, if you're a WNBA fan, shout out to Fenner, who's obviously, as always, of recent been up there on some of the top teams. It's been exciting. There's, for me, and this is obviously something that I feel very strongly about. We made Winsidr obviously always talk about this as overseas ball, because for me, I believe the overseas is where you can take middle of the pack players and really become, a breakout star. And for those who followed Yvonne Turner a few years ago, and then she had a breakout season in the playoffs two playoffs ago, that wasn't so surprising when you know what she's done overseas. And there's some players that I really feel use this as their quote unquote training camp, because the W training camp is so short. And it's a total catch-22 of you have to do good in the W so you can get a good contract overseas. And once you play overseas, you have to play in the W again, because it's a format of what have you done for me lately. But it's an exciting time, and I implore every WNBA fan to pay attention to this league. A lot of great talent. What are your thoughts of kind of jumping into the overseas ball for probably the first time in Euroleague or in your way?
Yeah, I mean, you catch it every once in a while, because if you're paying attention to women's basketball, it's impossible when someone says, "Oh, we have some of the best players in the world playing in the EuroLeague Final Four." But following it during the regular season, is really interesting because it is what you're saying. You're seeing people grow up. I think, you can point to a bunch of different examples. Vonnie Turner being one of them. Emma Miesemann more recently being that example too. She went overseas. She worked mainly with her national team, but I do believe she played for UMMC.
It sounded like a community college right there.
It's crazy because, there's just we have too many. I thought on the state side, we had too many acronyms like ACC, SEC, WNBA, yada, yada, yada. Overseas, there's just a million of them. Like, I have no clue what the beginnings of these words mean. I just kind of know that they're related to these teams. But Emma went over and she became one of the best players in the NBA, WNBA, at the end of last year. So I think it is what you're saying, that is the most interesting part. We're seeing people who are going to get better here and come back and bring those skills. But so if people are like me and haven't really been paying attention to EuroLeague regular season, let's give them a little refresher as to what's going on. So I think where we start is how these teams get here. If you're a fan of soccer, Champions League. This is the same sort of deal. You either qualify by your past success in EuroLeague, if you win the Euro Cup, or if you finish in the top part of your domestic league. Then those top 16 teams, I believe. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. There's 16 teams. Top 16 teams go on to the regular season. There's 14 games each. Wins are worth 2 points. Losses are worth a point, which I don't really get that. Any explanation there, Aryeh?
No. I mean, moving on. I guess they're not all about the W.
Well, losses count for nothing, EuroLeague. See, this
losses count for nothing in our book.
Okay, so then after this regular season, so these 14 games, we're going to have the top 4 teams in each group make the playoffs. Then we go quarters, semis, the final 4. Actually, semis would be the final 4. And then from there, we have a championship game. So the first round is going to be kind of soccer-y, where it's one game, a home and away series, and then we're going to 1 game eliminations. I believe I'm correct here.
Possibly, yeah.
It's always possible that I'm correct. That's why I keep talking. So just for this season, to give you an idea of where the teams are from, there are 3 teams from Russia. There are 2 teams from Italy, France, and Turkey. And then Spain, Belgium, Czech Republic, Hungary, and Poland all are represented by 1 team. There's 30 WNBA players playing in the EuroLeague, and 9, that's a lot. 9 All-Stars from last year's team are going to be playing in the EuroLeague once Nafisa Collier goes over to Fenerbahce.
That's wild. I mean, you're talking about some of the top talents, and we talk and I think that's important because so often people forget about it. Everyone during the season talks about all these players going overseas and working their butt off and making it work and all that jazz. But when you put it in perspective of the simplicity of numbers, I mean, you got 12 teams. You're talking about UMMC, as I'm sure we'll bring up, essentially has a WNBA All-Star roster.
Yeah, no, they actually do. They have a starting lineup of WNBA All-Stars. Well, if we count Emma as being an All-Star, then yes, they have a full starting lineup of All-Stars.
Which is absurd. And obviously, and one of the confusing things, and we'll have Coach Wade on later in the offseason, hopefully. Again, we had him on last year, and he kind of broke down the differences. A good episode for everyone to listen to. It's on all of our platforms, where he kind of breaks down the differences of national team commitments versus EuroLeague versus, all the various different leagues that these teams play in, and all the different rules that go along with those. Some leagues, only this many foreign players are allowed to play, or there's a limit in how many minutes the foreign players can play, and all that jazz. But talk to me briefly just about the domination of recent from UMMC of their recent time, Gabe.
Ekaterinburg. That's one I've also been having trouble pronouncing. This is great also. So I am going to get into UMMC. Their dominance, but I'm also learning a lot about random places in Europe that I don't think I would have ever learned about. And Ekaterinburg is actually a very lovely city. I was trying to figure out how to pronounce it, so I watched this whole video of their very lovely city. Looks very modern. I'd love to visit. But also the main attraction for us is their basketball team. There it is. That's what we call a transition. So they have won 13 Russian league titles since 2002. That includes 11 straight. They have won the last 11 domestic leagues. They've also won 5 EuroLeague titles in that same span since 2003. They've won 4 of the last 7 and the last 2 straight. So it's safe to say that they are probably the most dominant basketball team on the planet, just from dominant standpoints. We could talk about talent a little later, but I also think we're going to have trouble on the talent finding another team that's up there, because this team is just amazing. Like we said, they have a full WNBA All-Star team that they could start. They have Courtney Vandersloot, Allie Quigley. It's very cute that they got to play in the same place overseas, because I know that hasn't happened before. So Courtney Vandersloot, Allie Quigley, Emma Miesemann, Brittany Griner, and Jonquel Jones is on the roster, but I do believe that she is we haven't gotten this confirmed, but I do believe she is not playing in EuroLeague. She's only playing in the domestic cup.
Yeah, that's my understanding too.
And so, all right, so now those are 5 players that all should be. We have 4 All-Stars in the Finals MVP. Off the bench, they have Maria Vadeeva and Jameria Faulkner. And like you mentioned, Coach Wade is in charge of basically like the American players there. And he is running this whole team. And there's 3 Chicago Sky players and 4 All-Stars and a Finals MVP. This team is unbelievably talented, and it's just interesting to see who has to sacrifice, because that's what basketball is all about. Basketball is a game of, having to sacrifice of yourself for the team, and it's just interesting to see on the game-to-game, possession basis who's sacrificing, who's moving. Right now, they're just doing a great job moving the ball and getting the ball all around, and everyone's kind of getting theirs. Brittany Griner's had a great EuroLeague so far. So is Courtney Vandersloot, but she only has like 5 points a game, because there's not physically that many shots available for that many good players. But she's averaging, I think, 7.4 assists. So for UMMC, it's pretty easy, honestly. It's just they have so much talent.
Well, they have so much talent, but it's honestly like to the point of you're sitting there like, wow, how are they not going to continue this win? Looking at their game so far this season, coming in second place in Group A is USK Praha, and that was their closest game so far of the season, a 74-67 win on Wednesday, whenever you're listening to this, on Wednesday, November 6th. It's interesting because you look at all these rosters, and honestly, it's going to be hard for any of these teams to pull off a victory against them. I mean, you've talked about it, but Alyssa Thomas, we got to give that woman credit. Oof. She has gone from a injured player carrying a team to the WNBA finals to an injured player carrying a team in EuroLeague. Her game against UMMC was ridiculous. 15 points, 17 rebounds, 4 steals, 2 blocks, and 1 assist. But just overall, what this team has been able to do is super impressive. And I hate to say this, but I think a lot of us look at these rosters and go, oh, you have this many Americans, you should kind of be seated higher than these other teams who don't have as many Americans. And let me be clear, shout out to Jonquel Jones. When I say American, I actually just mean WNBA players. Like, let's be clear. I include Vadeeva in that ranking.
Well, she actually wouldn't count though, because she's Russian. So in this whole, and we haven't gone deep enough into the rules yet.
That's the next episode.
That's the next episode to explain like why her being Russian really matters. But the point is, you can only have X amount of foreign players for this Russian team playing in EuroLeague. So Vadeeva is actually fine because she's Russian, so she counts as a domestic player. But yeah, back to Alyssa Thomas, unbelievable. Can I just say one thing about her before? I mean, I know we're trying to fit a lot into this podcast, but one stat that is insane is that, okay, this is 4 games. I understand that this is 4 games, but she is averaging 4.8 steals a game. Every game, she has had at least 3 steals. She has 2 games where she has 6 steals in a game. That's absurd. Let's do a little trivia. Do you know who has the highest single season mark for steals in a game in WNBA history?
I want to say Elena Beard or like Maya Moore.
Both good guesses. So Maya Moore actually led the league in steals last year. But the answer is Teresa Witherspoon in 1998 with the Liberty She averaged, this is the best season in WNBA history for steals, 3.3 steals a game. And Alyssa Thomas at 4.8. I do understand that it won't continue. It'd be almost physically impossible for her to get that many steals in a professional basketball game. But on the flip side, she's Alyssa Thomas. She bends physics and time and space to her every whim, and she can do anything she wants. And she's just going to continue doing that, I guess. I guess we're just at this point where she's going to do everything she wants forever.
If there's ever a WNBA player made into a superhero, I want it to be Alyssa Thomas. I'm saying that now. I don't care what the other greats that have come before. I want it to be Alyssa Thomas.
Oh, yeah. I mean, she might actually be a superhero.
We just don't know.
I know we always bring this up, but she literally has 2 torn labrums at the moment for the entire past 2 seasons. And she has just gotten so much better as a player. I really actually like what Alex Bazell, who, congratulations to him for getting engaged, and Nafisa. Mazel. So he came on the podcast and he was talking about how, yes, like you don't want 2 torn labrums, but it really simplifies your game and it allows you to focus on the things that you want to like you think you're good at. And for her, it's just getting to the rim and kind of, being that wrecking ball that I think we've talked about her on the offensive end doing that. And I think what's really freeing her up in Euroleague is that there's just not that many players who can really hold her attention one-on-one. So she's getting to float around. She's getting in those passing lanes, causing steals. Now, that's not true when she's playing at Ekaterinburg, but she still had 6 steals in that game. But I think it is helping that she doesn't have someone that's like, all right, now I have to lock up Elena Deladon or Emma Miesemann or, Chene or Neka or whoever. Like, she can kind of be more free on the defensive end.
I mean, true. I mean, there's definitely going to be parts where she has those troubles. I think as far as Ekaterinburg is kind of like that level that we saw the Lynx and arguably the Sparks in various forms during different dynasties in this league. We haven't seen such dynasties since the Lynx kind of started to fall off a little bit. But Euroleague is just such a different style of basketball. Talk to me quickly, quickly about what you have noticed about the different style of play compared to your W.
Well, I think I think there's a lot more isolation scoring. I think they're the teams actually other than the team that you would expect to have the most isolation scoring, which is Ekaterinburg, who they really move the ball around a lot, and I'm going to give credit again to Courtney Vandersloot for that. I think there is a lot more isolation scoring. If you're big and you want to get in the lane, it seems like you have a lot easier task getting rebounds, getting layups. Alyssa Thomas is just and this isn't to knock on the talent in Euroleague. It's not talent. It's just they're not as big as her. And no one there's not many people in the WNBA who can get in front of her, and there's even less in Euroleague. So, for example, she's having tremendous time. Maria Vadiva, who we've talked about, she's doing great too, and that's in large part because she's able to get in the paint with no troubles. So I think bigs are doing better, and there's the outside scoring from the guards comes from more isolation plays. So those are the 2 big differences. But honestly, I think the products are pretty similar in as far as being very high quality. I don't think there's a huge drop off in quality from the WNBA to EuroLeague.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, I think obviously it's not on that same level as the W, but it's not a huge drop off. Let's talk about players that we're keeping our eyes on. Obviously, we've talked about Alyssa Thomas a lot. We've talked about Maria Vadiva, who's just, she's so young. Remember, she's now entering that age that we expect typical WNBA players to be in when they come into the league. And I always stress when it comes to the W, you got to give them a minimum of 3 years. I like to say almost 5 years before you truly understand what this player is capable of. Obviously, someone that I'm looking at a lot is Andalosini, Cecilia Cecchi. What she's going to do, she missed out on this past season for the Lynx. She's one of those players who, similar to Vadiva, had a lot of youth hype and came into the league a little bit young, and you're standing there and you're wondering, okay, when are we going to finally see kind of the predictions come to fruition? That's something that I really want to see, and I'm excited, and hopefully she'll be back in the W this coming year. Obviously, we have to give a shout out to Stephanie Mavunga, who has been crushing it overseas so far this season. What's she dropping? 19.5 points a game right now.
Oof.
That's I mean, and again, like I said in the beginning, we're talking about players who are middle of the pack players in the W who now get opportunities to really let themselves shine bright overseas and be the star of a team, and we really get to see what these players are capable of. And she's a player that we need to give attention to. Gabe, I know you got someone you want to bring a spotlight to.
Well, yeah, I want to bring a spotlight to someone who's not actually in the WNBA. She had a cup of coffee with the Sparks last year, but Alina, I'm gonna mess this up. Agapova? That sounds right. Well, I'm gonna learn her name because she's a flat out superstar. She has been unbelievable in Euroleague. I believe she is leading. She is behind. She's behind Alyssa Thomas in points.
No, she's above barely.
Okay, sorry, I was looking at their game highs, but she's been unbelievable. She's averaging 21 points. Yeah, 21.5 points per game, 7 rebounds, 5.5 assists. I'm gonna run down some of her numbers from her first 4 games. So against Dynamo Kurtz, 28 points on 10 of 13 from the field, 5 rebounds, 8 assists, 6 steals. Against Gadia, I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. Chris, our graphics guy, is going to get mad at me. 24 points, 10 rebounds, 2 assists, 7 of 11 from her field versus Sopron Basket, 12 points, 11 rebounds, 8 assists, 6 of 8 from the field. And against Hirona, was that today? Well, it's yesterday. I believe it was yesterday. 22 points, 2 rebounds, 8 assists, 12 of 18 from the field. She's hitting 60% of her threes. And we're not talking like, this is like a normal 3. Like she does take some normal threes from like a normal range where humans would normally shoot from. But she also just takes some from like, hey, you were going to have to come out here range. She's like 5 feet behind the 3-point line, just launching up shots. She has a really, really nice little step back that Christy Tolliver also has. It's very quick, very deadly. People don't know what to do with her. And she's really pushing this Fenerbahce team much higher than I think they would otherwise be. I mean, they're not the super duper star studded that roster that we see on some other teams here. And she's been leading them. She's been unbelievable. And she does a lot of her stuff, isolation. She's really deadly in the pick and roll as well. She can pull up from anywhere or she can drop those dimes to her bigs. And she's also just like, I don't know. She's just like this person that you can't take your eyes off of when they're on the court because of the attention that they bring.
Don't forget her free throw percentage.
And her free throw percentage is, I believe, at what, 97?
94.4.
94.4. 7 of 18 from the line. I mean, we know of at least one player who's slightly better than that. Shouts to Leia. But so I just really think that she is someone who can help a team on defense. I was trying to figure out why she didn't stick around with the Sparks and why she didn't come to another team. My original hypothesis was that she wasn't, that strong defensively, but she looks fine defensively. I mean, she's not like a lockdown person or someone you're always noticing like an Alyssa Thomas, but she gets her hands into the lane. She plays well. She shoots so quickly and deadly that I just think she can help a team. So Alina Agapova, someone needs to give her a shot. She's 27 years old. And I think she still has something left in the tank to bring to the W.
No, hey, I'm with it. I would love to see her play and love her get a chance. Honestly, I'm all for W teams bringing in veterans from overseas, and I would love to have coaches on or players on or people come and tell me why I'm wrong and why it's better to go with a young college player. But I'm in the camp of like go with someone who's shown themselves. Like for me, Diamond DeShields, everyone talked about her when she was coming in the league and placement and all that, and the whole time I was just thinking to myself, she played professionally overseas for a year. That's like, she's not a rookie anymore. She's going to be next level. And everyone kind of, her commitment, her attitude, blah, blah. That was some BS because she played overseas. She played college. And then she came into the W and tore it up.
Yeah. And unfortunately, actually, I was going to bring up Diamond as someone who has not done that well in Euroleague. But yeah, no, she's definitely growing her game. And I think the reason she was struggling earlier was because she's pushing her game to different places and trying to explore new things. And she also just got into foul trouble and I think she got like hit in the head in one of the games that had to leave.
A few times. She's been getting injured a little bit overseas.
Yeah, she takes some bumps because of the way she plays. But like you're saying, I definitely think this is such a useful process for any player. I mean, obviously we just want the WNBA players to stay here in the off season and build themselves in the community and build themselves a team and go through a normal training camp like every other professional athlete in this nation does. On the flip side, though, this is pretty cool that we're seeing, this kind of mix up of different talents overseas and other people getting an opportunity in major professional basketball to kind of grow and explore their game and push their games to like the outer reaches of basketball.
Yeah, no, it's definitely interesting. And also, like, it's the weird part and something that I definitely want to do during our off-season coverage is talk to coaches in the W who are now evaluating what's going on overseas. What do they look for? What don't they look for? What do they say, oh, yeah, that's just happening because it's not the same level of play as the W, or, oh, that crap won't work in the W, but that will. I want to know what people are looking for and kind of, something that I always started asking the players as the W season winded down was, what are you looking to expand overseas? And a lot of people just said, the most common was expand the three ball, but mostly it was ball control and just fine tuning out things that I've been working on during the season. But and then they obviously bring up the whole, oh, it's different, so it's hard to compare and all that jazz. But I want to hear what people are working on, what coaches look for overseas what can translate and what won't translate to the W.
Yeah, I think the other thing I look for just as a fan, not just of the WNBA, but just like of basketball weirdness is like, if you're going to watch these games and you can catch them all on YouTube, if you go to like the FIBA YouTube channel, you can catch all of them on YouTube live and you can catch all of them on tape. And, you can pretty easily avoid the scores of this. The final scores, unlike American sports, so you can watch on repeat. Just like watch and listen to the crowds. It's been so much fun. Like I'm adopting Chio as my team because I like Northern Italy. So I'm in on Chio and their fans.
You fancy.
Their fans are insane. These people do not be quiet unless their team's on offense. They're yelling. There's like one of those like, it's not like a police siren, but like it's definitely like someone with a megaphone setting off the siren. The entire time someone's on defense, there's some Italian man yelling. I think about basketball. Obviously, I know some words in Italian. I don't know a lot. So he's mainly talking about basketball. I could be talking about other things. There's like air horns. It's just such a different vibe from American basketball, period. WNBA, NBA, college. Like this is not stuff you get to see. It's interesting places to kind of look at and say, oh, Riga looks nice. What's in Riga? And you start Googling Riga because you're watching their basketball team. So that's what I like about this. It's kind of like also a cultural experience in addition to just watching some more basketball because the basketball's been great.
Yeah, also the jerseys.
The jerseys are so much nicer.
Yeah, the jerseys are so much nicer and cooler, and all these shops have cooler swag that you can buy. It's ridiculous. I mean, I've adopted Dynamo Kursk just because, like, I've been a fan of them for a while. Fenner, I'm also a fan of, but like, the jerseys, man, I'll buy any of these jerseys because they're just that much cooler. I mean, some of them, I will say, I'll give it credit. There's a couple jerseys, a couple teams that I get super pissed off about because I see some of the jerseys they're wearing and they don't offer them for sales. But just flat out, their merchandise sales are so much better than the W,
which is insane.
I mean, it's pathetic. I mean, there's not much else to say about that. Gabe, is there anything else you want to slide in on this episode before we talk next time? We're going to break down kind of rule differences, all some more intense, detailed things about the league. This is just kind of overview. Anything else you want to touch on in Euroleague?
Well, I think we're going to do some more writing now. We had a couple weeks to decompress from the WNBA season, so we'll have some people writing about EuroLeague. Those couple of people will include me. So I'll probably have some coming soon. And then we're gonna also post that James Wade episode on Twitter, so you guys can listen to what he had to say about the rules and all that before we get into it. Probably in the next couple of weeks. So just keep watching. I think this week Chio plays Fenerbahce. So do you just pick Fenerbahce as your team?
No, it is my
team.
Okay,
then this is a rivalry. Going head to head, Aryeh. Go Chio.
Dude, you're going down. Chio. Stripes over your ugly jersey.
Chio. Hey, those jerseys are nice, dude. All right. That's all.
Getting real defensive real quick there, Gabe.
They're my team.
Back off. Zandalosini's about to drop 30 on you. Watch.
No way. I got Diamond's going to come back. Bounce back game.
Okay, we'll see. All right, well, as we always say, we believe the players of the W Units community deserve the same in-depth analysis and respect that men's sports receive on a daily basis. With that in mind, please consider joining our Patreon community to help support us and the hard work that we do.